Hello, this is Paul Slauson, a doctoral student at Concordia University, St. Paul, doing the discussion for week 6 and talking about the discussion section of a particular peer-reviewed article that I found. So the one that I wanted to discusses weightlifting associated injuries and the prevalence of them from 2000 to 2020. Or 2017 actually. So in the discussion section, they talked about how the injuries or shoulder injuries due to weightlifting nearly doubled from 8,000 to 15,000. And so they talked about how that has doubled, and what they're trying to do for practical applications is talk about how we should increase awareness of injuries, shoulder injuries due to weightlifting. They did conclude that it could have been also that there's a increase in an aging population that's also still doing weightlifting, and also like fad exercises like CrossFit and things like that. They did talk about limitations in the discussion, so they did go into that. So they did mention a couple. One of them was that they had no way of knowing whether the participants went to like a different urgent care clinic or an alternative place before going to an emergency room, so they couldn't capture that. They did try to make conservative estimates with the shoulder injuries because of that. The other thing is they didn't have any cost data, so that they couldn't really comment on the financial impact of shoulder injuries on the overall population in the US. Also, the last limitation that they talked about was they could not capture any injuries that were overuse injuries, or like kind of glenohumeral arthritis, things like that. So they couldn't see what sort of injuries, overuse injuries were there, and they couldn't, of course, connect the cost to overuse injuries that may cost more because it's maybe a lot longer rehabilitation. So those were the limitations that they discussed. In that, the recommendations of future research, they didn't talk a lot about the recommendations of future research. They only really said that more prevalence or more awareness of this prevalence of injuries should be increased, and that they wanted like another study talking about the cost of everything too. But the overall conclusion really was that the rise of shoulder injuries associated with weightlifting is increasing nearly double from 2008 to 2017, and that they wanted just more awareness of this. So that was that. And then this was pulled from, I believe, the Journal of International Journal of Sports Medicine, a peer-reviewed journal that was there. But that's my conclusion of the discussion.